Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we've got a ton to talk about. So much has happened in the last 24 hours since our last episode of VCTV in the world. We have so many headlines. We have Bitcoin through the moon. We've got DeFi in terms of total lock value now over $22 billion in total lock value. 22 billion. When we started VCTV last year in May, we actually were at just crossing 1 billion. Come full circle, just starting here 2021, we're over $22 billion and rising. Bitcoin this morning has almost touched 40K, $40,000 USD, just as a note from the latest numbers we're seeing. And with that, we also got tons of headlines of new funding announcements, new technologies and partnerships that have come into play. We're going to be talking about it all here today on VCTV, so get ready. And if you're liking what you hear today, or you would like to be on VCTV, do reach out. We'd love to have you as an investor share your thoughts and insights around different technologies, industries, and regions around the world, and provide your on-the-ground perspective to educate the VCTV audience on what's happening in the world, so investors can understand where to place their bets for the year ahead, and also entrepreneurs can know great opportunities and where to start building their next company, product, or service. And entrepreneurs, for you out there, what better way to start the year than joining us here on the virtual stage that we've built for you to pitch us your company, product, or service, to get real-time feedback, build foundational relationships with each and every one of us, and get exposure to the entire VCTV community as well. And in addition to today, we've got an outstanding guest. We're going to have a great fireside chat. I already know, because we've been talking pre-show a little bit here. If you do want to hear more VCTV, and not just from our guest and myself, but from all of our guests, check out the archive online as well. And a big thank you to the La Token team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day and allowing us to come together from around the world to share with you what's happening. And with that, I'm your host, Kyle. Let's go ahead and get an introduction to the grandmaster of artificial intelligence himself, ladies and gentlemen, Gary Fowler. Welcome back.
Wow, Kyle, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great to be here. My name's Gary Fowler, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love artificial intelligence because AI is the new electricity. I've done 17 companies. I've been involved in a NASDAQ IPO, 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion about 19 months ago. And also, I'm the co-founder of Viva.ai, one of the top AI HR tech companies in the world today, partnered with David Yang, a billionaire from Russia. And I love quantum, write a lot, 108 articles as of this morning, because I wrote another one. And just in the last year, I'm writing 3 to 5 a week right now. So love it, just love AI. And I believe these are the most extraordinary times. We've gone through the pandemic. Now we're going through a lot of international political situations, and we got Bitcoin at 39,500 as of, and maybe 40,000. It's been 5 minutes, Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild and crazy. We don't talk a lot about, digital currency prices here on VCTV. We try to, separate that a little bit and talk more at the underlying technology. However, this is a very important topic because it plays a role in a lot of infrastructure and a lot of new companies, products, and services as well that we're both looking at as investors and also as entrepreneurs. And, seeing this type of opportunity grow and scale. And I mentioned the DeFi number as well. I mean, decentralized finance, that's huge. We've seen so many great companies and products being introduced into the market at the end of 2020. This year, that is probably going to grow 10x to what we saw last year, because we both know and we've talked about how DeFi plays a role in so many different industries, including the back office of general enterprise, stuff that people don't like to talk about. And AI, quantum, and even AR and VR, which we'll get into as well today. But AI and quantum play a huge impact in the future of where digital currencies and the integrating applications go for the world. And Gary, I'd just love to hear from you. I mean, you're so excited about AI and quantum. What does this all mean? Where do we go with these two technologies, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as to what's going to happen?
I think we seen a little ugly yesterday, if you know what I mean.
We did, unfortunately. And yeah, and AI plays such an impactful role. I mean, I'm looking at,
Sure.
decentralized applications, or dApps, as we'll refer to them for the rest of the episode, are the future of applications in a big way, right? Decentralized or distributed. And when we look at the future of web and applications and going into Web3, AI plays a big role. I mean, data is going to be a huge part of the future of our applications, and AI plays a role in what that is going to look like. So for you, I mean, where does AI play an impactful role in the future of
Well, I mean,
everything?
the AI is the future of everything. I mean, it's not like one thing; it's everything. And so, by that I mean, think about it. Our lives were inundated with data. I've talked about it many times. There are about 40 zettabytes of data on the planet today. That would, if there's CDs stacked one on top of another, we'll go back and forth the moon 29 times. So a lot of data, growing at about 62% per year. So we are, as I've said, and quoting Alvin Toffler, in a state of infobesity. We're just inundated. We can't even go down through today. Look at our own personal cloud. We've got about 300,000 items, each one of us, in our own personal cloud. Well, in comparison to the higher World Wide Web in 1996, there are only 257,000 websites. So each individual here has more information in their own personal cloud than the entire web. Now, think about all the email addresses, all the files, folders, Telegram, WhatsApp, Slack, Messenger, all the repositories, could be 20. You could have 5 to 7 to 10 email addresses. You say, no, no, no. But think about it. The Yahoo address you don't use, Hotmail address that you don't use, Google addresses that you don't use anymore. When you start to add it up, it's a lot. So during this time, we've got an incredible challenge because we are in a state of infobesity. Think about your own personal cloud. How many
Mhm.
times do you say, I know that file exists, but I can't find it? Why? I've either forgotten the key location, the location, or the keywords. And you
Mhm.
don't, you try to go down through and figure it out. Go on, your mail application and misspell the word and try to find it. So we need to come up with AI assistants that truly can help us organize our life. And so by that as a smart assistant, but really we're moving into unsupervised AI, into intelligent assistance. And then what I mean by that is it can understand what the kind of things that you want, not set up based on rules, but literally understand what kind of behavior you exhibit, things that you like to be able to help you. And so 300,000 items today, Kyle, but it's forecasted based on that trajectory that in 5 years, there'll be 10 million items that each one of us will have in our personal cloud.
Which is insane. And actually, a fun fact from yesterday's news cycle actually is Decrypt, which is a media company out there, actually started moving all of their articles on IPFS to do distributed storage. And actually create working with Filecoin and a few other companies to actually open up this more distributed web and infinite storage of content, which just adds to this indexing that we're going to have to be a part of ongoing in our life, which will play into AR VR here in a second. But with that, and what you just spelled out with AI, so the emotional piece, but also the more intelligent piece of where AI is learning and growing into, how do you see that playing or integrating with blockchain, if you have
Well,
in the
I want
past?
to talk about that emotion piece because it's
Sure.
we're at a critical juncture.
Yeah.
If we don't build some compassion into systems, I saw something a few weeks ago where I saw somebody take a robotic dog, an AI robotic dog, and kick it, and the
Yes.
dog fell over. And I was thinking to myself, it may not be a problem today, but where do the rights start to come in? Where we want, as we start to, the human brain processes about 60,000 complex transactions per day. And as we start to develop the AI and it catches up and surpasses us based on Moore's law, what happens then? Who's
Hmm.
right, who's wrong? And we need to build compassion in, because if we have these pragmatic AI systems today and they don't understand humanity and we start to do a lot of crazy things, the systems will control, with the Internet of Things, virtually everything. What happens then? So if we have riots, we have all kinds of different events. What will the system do to be able to control it, and how far will it go? We had better train compassion, the right kind of things, the higher level skill sets, love, compassion, affection, those kind of things into the system. Because if not, we're going to have this pragmatic thing that says, why do we need you around? All you do is consume and dirty. It's like, hello, right? So we need to go down through, and then we look at artificial intelligence. There are 6 billion Earth-like planets in the Milky Way galaxy. And that what I mean by that is they're within the Goldilocks zone, we're close enough to a sun where they could sustain life. But now it's estimated there are about 200 trillion planets in the universe, 200 trillion. So we take 200 trillion times 6 billion, we start to understand that this is a massive, massive, interesting opportunity for us. So, as we're exploring, we're going to Mars first. How do we get out there? We need to have the artificial intelligence to be able to help us to be able to navigate the ship. And more importantly, like European Space Agency said, have an assistant out there that can, not only coach us psychologically, because it's a year-long trip, but also understand what's happening with us from a health perspective. So we got incredible challenges and opportunities in front of us. I believe right now, I used to just say the AI is the new electricity. It's different than that. It's almost exponential, because now with quantum computers, quantum networks, quantum and AI, it changes everything. The Chinese just said their system is more than 1 billion times faster than a supercomputer. This was their quantum computer as of last week, 1 billion. So imagine today, Google said that their system that they have in place is 100 million times faster. So it could process information today that would take 10,000 years in a matter of 200 seconds. So 1 billion times faster plus. I think the exact code was 10 billion times faster, but let's just keep it conservative. So we've got this extraordinary opportunity, but then at the same time, it's going to dramatically change our lives, because if we want to, Ponce de Leon talked about the fountain of youth. Talk about the fountain of youth, we can figure everything out. Think about gene splicing. So your family's got a history of cancer, cut that gene out at the exact point. You've got, COPD, heart problems, cut the gene out. And so if you're going down through it, this is the way, this gene splicing capability was now becoming a reality. It used to be a few years ago, I had my MBA students, I did part-time instruction in the MBA program over in Russia, and I brought over Skolkovo students over to Silicon Valley. Our project was how to live to 120 years, but now it's 150 years. We are coming in the age of being able to live longer. And then as we come to singularity and we start to incorporate things like being able to add memory to ourselves, to be able to remember things. So now you want to get a Stanford MBA? No problem. You just pass through this wirelessly, and in a couple of seconds, you've got your Stanford MBA. You want to be a doctor? It's no problem. Here, pay this amount of money, you can become a doctor. Though our world is changing so fundamentally different than it was before. It's like, Stone Age humans actually discovering fire and how that changed their lives for cooking and light and everything. We're at that kind of stage in humanity now. And as we've gone down through the digital transformation, which you and I talk about regularly, we're changing everything. Look at VCTV here, bringing the world, out to literally the far reaches of the planet Earth to give people access to information that they normally would never get. This is incredible. This is the digital transformation. And, as we've gone down through this pandemic, Kyle, and people have said, I'm lonely, I'm at home, I don't know who to talk to. We've given them hope, a home. What you've offered them is a place to grab the knowledge, to meet and greet. And I think, that I remember when I, first got on Zoom now 5 years ago, and I got on with the founder of Zoom, Eric's, one of his VCs said, hey, you got to try this out. My friend said, don't do it. I got Skype. Why in the world would you need something else? I said, because this stuff's really good. Oh, no, you don't need it. And I remember it was free at the time. I set it up. I would send links out. And David Yang and I were some of the, early users of Zoom. Now look at it. close to 400 million users around the planet. And people, it's hope, it's connections, it's contacts, but we haven't gone far enough. And that's where AR and VR come in, because we need more immersive experiences, more three-dimensional experiences where we can actually feel like we're in the situation, not just flat on the screen. Right here I am on my 27-inch Mac, and it's great, but imagine being able to really become part of that scene at a virtual holographic images with the table and sitting and really carrying on. Imagine how that changes our life.
Yeah, it's a good point. And, one of the words that's being tossed out a lot right now, and it's a little early in its days, but we're seeing it play out, is metaverse, right? We're talking a lot about a metaverse. Noble, who's a part of the VCTV family, has spoken about it as well with his background in gaming and NFTs and the like. And would love to hear your thoughts. I mean, Decentraland and Sandbox, Upland, and a few others. These are all companies that have really begun to open up this world of a metaverse for us to kind of live in. Very similar to the early days of Second Life and The Sims, and now this is a more thriving.
Was that movie a long time ago? Was it Tron?
Yes. So if anything, there's the progression. So we had Tron and Logan's Run and a few other great movies that showed us what could be in terms of this metaverse or this digital life. And then come into The Sims or Sim City, taking it all the way back to Maxis. Sims and what they put together, and then Second Life, what it introduced us to then World of Warcraft. Notice this is all gaming. To now we see actual worlds, right? So you've gone to Decentraland and Sandbox, and again Upland and others I've mentioned, where it's not just a game. I mean, you can now buy things like NFTs, so non-fungible tokens, whether that be art or music or real estate. And you can actually have that and live that digital life within the game and within the metaverse. And it's a whole second digital world that people have, and they're making money off of it. We've talked about, buying digital real estate and then building on it and then renting out that real estate. Art, there's a ton of art galleries in Decentraland as well. For the metaverse, when we go back to AR, VR, I mean, do you see this as something that will quickly progress and take us out of the browser and put us into the virtual headsets where, you and I are doing, VCTV with Maria, for instance, in a more virtual immersive experience? Or, is that something that, we're a little too early for right now?
I mean, look what's happened over the last year. So, I mean, talk about moving in the direction of the metaverse. Look where we are today. I mean, the thing is, what's happened is we now give access to everybody from anywhere to be, as long as they've got the technology to be able to access from anywhere. So it's a different world. It's really the democratization of opportunities. And so in terms of the metaverse, absolutely. I mean, it's part of it. On one side, we've become so addicted to our phones and the technology that we're become one with it. In a sense, we are now achieving some part of singularity by having our phone. Our phone is an extension of who we are. We didn't even think about it. How many times do you pick up your phone every day? I mean, 150, 200, 500? A lot,
Too
right?
many.
Too many. What do you do in the morning when you get up? You check your phone. What do you do before you go to bed? What happens if you get up in the middle of the night? What do? Check your phone, right? Most people. And so we're moving in that direction of the metaverse, and we've been driven to it because of the coronavirus, because we understand our frailties, and quite frankly, we don't want to die. I mean, we get out there and it's like Russian roulette. No pun intended. But, it's really changed the way we look at things, because if you go out to a restaurant and it's a crowded restaurant, you could have a situation catching coronavirus, or now the accelerated version from the UK, and die. So we've been forced, before people really putting their feet down and saying, we're not going to do this. We're not going to have remote employees. It's not going to work. How do we know what they're doing? Now the situation is, if you don't do those things, you've got a serious challenge. It's like masks. If you used to wear a mask like that, if you could get in a bank and put a face mask on, they'd put you in jail for bank robbery. Now situation, they put you in jail for not having it. Hasn't the world changed? So the
Right.
metaverse is coming. We're coming closer and closer. And as you know, the AI is exponentially growing and growing and growing in the capability. Our desire to enjoy a digital life like we are right now, Kyle. I mean, we haven't met in person, but how many hours have we spent together? A lot,
A lot.
a lot.
A lot.
And so we spend this quality time together, and we're now coming into it. Now what's happened is I hear about companies all over the world that develop immersive technologies to make this kind of experience a lot closer and deeper and close to, a metaverse, if you will. And it's important because we need those kind of touch points. As humans, we're used to having contact. We're used to being close together. We're used to communicating. So now we've done it in this, I want to say, one-dimensional level, but we need to do it really in a three-dimensional level where you can start to feel things.
Yeah, and I think it brings up an interesting point. I want to come back to feelings, but real quick, that brings up an interesting point because with AR VR, we're at kind of a crossroads. There was a huge push towards consumer applications and then a big pullback because there was both an adoption curve on the technology and us as users just wasn't there yet, right? We saw this even with Magic Leap and others who had raised billions of
Magic who?
dollars. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Magic Leap, I mean, in all respects, they put on a very big vision and have worked to try to make that happen. And,
Absolutely.
timing may have been off early, but today it's perfect. I mean, we also have seen HTC, we've seen Verizon, we've seen some of the biggest names enter the space from the hardware side. And now the software side going from 1D to 2D. So we'll consider what we're doing right now, 2D, moving into that 3D environment where, headset costs have come down. The software has taken a step forward. On the AR side, we're starting to see more interaction, more understanding, right? You've got Niantic that created part of Pokemon Go and also Harry Potter and a few other interactive experiences. We've got Apple pushing forward on their AR kits along with Snapchat and a few others. Now that next progression, I think it's Weave VR, do 3D virtual events. Jason, who will be on with us tomorrow from Propel Ventures and Founders Institute, hosts like a virtual meetup every month. We're starting to see that. So we're kind of at like that 2.5 level, whereas on the enterprise side, we're seeing more interaction of this, right? So we've seen more on the medical side, more on the maintenance side, more on logistics and supply chain, drones, right? We're seeing more interaction around AR, VR on enterprise, but consumer, it's starting to come too. But I want to pause that rant for a moment and switch back to emotion. So as we move into this metaverse, we move into this digital world that we already are living, but more aggressively, emotion and emotional AI. Artificial intelligence is going to be a part of that. If anything, we'll have that digital assistant, we'll have that digital piece with us, that emotional piece. How do you see emotional AI playing a part into future digital worlds or digital lives? Again, the metaverse that we
So
have.
let me talk about the other part. You talk about these immersive experiences and 2.5 and where we are. And, so it's being driven by the opportunity. People are home. If you're in San Francisco or in Silicon Valley, it's hard to get out and hard to meet with people. So we're being driven because the demand is there and the opportunity is there today to be able to drive these technologies forward. If it was a year ago, Kyle, and coronavirus didn't happen, we wouldn't be having this call like we are today. It just probably wouldn't happen. But the situation is, the beautiful thing about humanity is we understand how to adapt. The good news is we know how to adapt. So being able to use Zoom to be able to do these kind of incredible shows is just the way it's going to be, but we need to have more. We got to make it more human-like, more so that it feels natural. And I'm not trying to do, a pun on NLP kind of thing, but a natural. And we need to go down through and do this sooner than later. It's really important for us because the opportunity is there. And I'm very excited about the advancement of technology during this pandemic. People have understood that there's needs to be closer. Look how Zoom's adapted, from the time we got started on this till today, all the security measures, all the different things that they put in place to be able to adapt adapt to this incredible demand that came in for this company. Um, so in terms of emotion AI, yes, it's going to be important, because if we don't have some sense of compassion within the system, what's going to happen? We're going to become, it's basically black and white. Well, I don't know. Do we really need these carbon uh, people around, these carbon forms? Maybe not. All they do is they kill each other and they do not good things. Why do we need them? I mean, they're just trying to pull the plug on me. They're trying to do this. We can make our own robots. We can do our stuff. We can have some of the humanity pieces, but I'm not sure we need them. So the situation is, and we got to understand that, we're building these quantum computers with artificial intelligence, unsupervised. They're going to have control, ability to touch everything from IoT in your house to, I mean, literally to the power grid, to defense. So we need to make sure that we have some compassion there, because if not, I mean, it's going to be black and white. We don't need you. Why do we want to have all these problems? You're polluting the earth. You're not making it any cleaner. You're destroying it. The ozone is being destroyed, et cetera. Let's forget about it. Let's come up with another scenario. So it's going to have to, I strongly urge that we build compassion into the AI. We have the training sets. Just think about it as a child, right? As a child, your parents teach you to do the right thing. And not everybody does it. But if you have a loving environment that trains you to do the right thing, you change as in terms of human being. When the same situation is with training sets, we got to make sure the training sets we have some type of compassion built in, and other emotions too. I'm not sure you want to have, the AI have a temper tantrum, because nothing good's going to happen with that. But I would put in some of the good parts of compassion, happiness, camaraderie, just things that'll feel good. And so, and if we do that, we're going to be in good shape. If we don't do it, we'll be in a force that Elon Musk says nothing good's going to happen. And we're growing fast, Kyle. This is happening in front of our eyes. Think about it, how quickly our world's changed with AI.
So speaking real quick, Elon Musk today, another headline, Elon Musk became the richest person in the world, just as a quick sidebar, surpassing
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. Yep. But going back to speed. So you're right. Things are moving so incredibly fast. I mean, we are very fortunate enough to see it, and we talk about it here often on VCTV because of the roles that we play in the world. But for those that may be tuning in for the first time, I mean, with all this speed, where is the place to focus right now? Right? If you're looking to just start to enter in investing, you're looking to start building. I mean, where? Where do you begin? If you could pick, maybe aside from AI, because in all fairness,
yeah, sure,
you are the grand master there. So outside of that, maybe one or two other areas do you see that are fast progressing but are still open for people to get into, whether again from the investing side or the building side?
Well, I mean, the situation is virtually AI is everywhere. So,
Right.
when I say it, I'm not talking to, it's a very, very broad category. And if you don't have it, it's probably not that interesting for the most part, from my perspective. And, when net it down, most of these systems have algorithmic math that's migrated towards some type of machine learning, kind of a deep learning model. So it's not that it's not happening. So in terms of, so with great speed comes great responsibility.
Very good. Very good. I like it. I like it.
So we got to go down through, and from our standpoint, what we got to do is we've got to understand that, as we're going down, moving forward in our life, we've got to go down through and have these systems in place that we develop with the compassion, that understand, and certain types of markets. So what's really hot? So I just did a panel on drug discovery where they're using artificial intelligence for drug discovery. So they're not using the bench models, but really the models that have been developed by Pfizer on IBM Watson to make the coronavirus come in instead of 2 years early, right? With 90%, 5% rate of success. And so we need to go down through, and we need to use those technologies to help us think about the applications. For medical research, all the kind of things from these little robots inside your system that can clean out the cholesterol, detect where there's a heart problem, fix it. You know, it's just it's a world that's opened up, and everybody wants to live longer. Having those kind of systems in place, imagine 3D printing of organs, which I know some of it's already started, but having the capability to develop organs out of your own tissue is incredible. So I'm excited about that. Farming, think about it from a farming, so it's across the board. So farming, think about it. Smart tractors, drones, IoT, so sensors out in the field, a gene splicing, gene splitting, genomes, understanding how to make, resistant crops that have fatter tomatoes and tastier and that kind of thing. Hydroponics, because of the population has quadrupled in the last 100 years. It'll be about 13 billion in another one. It's a 8 billion now, 8.1. It'll be about 13 billion by the end of this century. So we've got to get down through and come up with better ways of growing, right? As the temperatures go up, we've got to be able to have things like hydroponics, how to be able to grow better. And if we're going to terraform other planets, we got to understand how to use those technologies, because you're in a ship for a year flying to Mars. You got to have food. So we need to continue to evolve that way. In terms of clean tech, we got to clean up the mess that we've made, and it takes from the time we get started. The mess that we made now will start to show up in 20 to 30 years. The bad part of what we've done today. So cleaning it up. Our air is bad. The potable water that we talked about it earlier, the amount of drinking water that we all have, the availability of it is going down. I mean, as we said it just 2 days ago, water is now a commodity, right? And I talked about this 15 years ago. We're going to start selling water by the barrel. Well, that's one of the things that's out there. Why? Because, for the most of America, if you look at it, you go in, get a tap, get a glass of water, but you have no idea what's in there. Why? Because we don't test it. People could live in their house 15, 20 years and they have never tested the water in their house. How do they know if it's good or bad? Why not have sensors in the house, IoT sensors that can make judgments and course correct? These are like simple applications of it. We, as we're going down through it, so medical, space tech, of course, look at Bezos, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and our quest to go to space today. And there's 3+ governments. But it's a great opportunity for us. And so space tech, supply chain, we laugh about the toilet paper issue, but it's really crazy. I mean, we've developed quantum computers, but we can't figure out how to get a roll of toilet paper in San Francisco. Now, what's wrong with that picture? And so understanding being able to look inside to the supply chain to figure out what's happening, where it is, what place at what time, and where's the problem? Is it from the manufacturer coming out? Is it before? Is it the paper company that can't supply the raw wood to be able to turn it into paper? Where is it, and how can we course correct very, very quickly? We talked about just-in-time inventory. Well, that doesn't work with toilet paper, right? And ventilators and other things. So how can we streamline our system and really optimize it? So I see that on supply chain manufacturing with robotics across the board. We need to come back, now's the time. The dawn of an era. Look where Tesla, they laughed at him. They laughed at Elon Musk when he first got involved with Tesla. He didn't find Tesla. He got involved with Tesla, right? And so, but they laughed. They thought, here's a Lotus car. It's just retrofitted with a battery. It's like a toy, et cetera. But he had a vision. Now the situation, they aren't laughing today when he's the richest guy on the planet Earth,
Right.
So I see it across the board, Kyle. And the beauty, the amazing part of it is that we're participants in this and we have an opportunity to affect change. That's where the beauty is. So it's across the board. It's picked up. I've never, I've been around a long time, been in technology over 30 years. I've never seen it move at the speed it is now. It's one thing when we went through e-commerce, which is slow, but this is happening. I mean, it's just like Bitcoin. It's probably at 40,000 now, right? But, and I'm not being facetious. It may be.
No, we're close. We're teetering it. I mean, It's a great point. You're right on speed. I mean, this is the fastest as well for me in my career, and being in technology is in general, and fastest I've ever seen things. One, integrate, two, be deployed, and three, opportunities exist right on either side as an investor
Sure.
or as a founder. And Bitcoin's resting just under 40K. We're going up and down, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
Kyle,
And on Bitcoin,
cybersecurity, we got to talk about that because
yes,
we have
please.
all these great things with Bitcoin and all these opportunities. And I remember we were on a VCTV with one of the panelists, and he said he would have had 1,000 Bitcoins that he had, and he lost his computer.
Yep.
And lost his Bitcoins. And so the situation is on the other side is, these people talk about blockchain, but blockchains do get hacked now, right? And so we've got to come in and develop technologies. Cybersecurity needs to be focused on, or we're going to have a real problem because imagine, so all the Nest devices that are out there, and now there's a crack in the system and people have control of the cameras in your house, right? For instance. So, and I'm not saying Nest, you can do that, but I'm just, it could happen.
Well, and I'll say it for you. Every device it has a vulnerability, and we've seen that over the years. And in the early days of IoT and connected devices, we saw a lot of that happen. Now, in this transition from on the software side, as we go from Web 2 to Web 3, so we go from mobile and cloud-based applications to those that are more decentralized and distributed as well. We've started to see more vulnerabilities being released because security has not necessarily been thought of in this new fast-paced world. And that's what we talked a little bit about on BCTV yesterday. Lubna and others, and yourself mentioned this, is security needs to be thought through. It needs to be put in first with the development of that application, right? In your stack as you're building an app, you need to think about these things and importance of security. And on cyber, to your point, with blockchain, when you're building applications leveraging blockchain, just a few pieces of advice to those that are listening. One, do you need it or do you not? You may not, okay? And it's okay. The cool thing about building decentralized, or again, dApps, as we'll just summarize it for today, is you don't have to build everything in one entire stack. You can actually take bits and pieces, right? You can have distributed storage, as we mentioned with Decrypt and what they're doing with IPFS. You can have distributed computing, something that Gary has mentioned and we've had for many years, and we'll have even many more forward with quantum as well. And as we move into that, again, security needs to be thought about, and that's when blockchains go into public and private, permissioned, permissionless. So if you decide you need blockchain as a part of your application, do you need it as public or private? Because when you do any kind of transaction with it, whether it be a transaction proper or it's storing of data and et cetera, that's stored on chain in most cases by default. So that means it's there. Now it's protected, it's hashed, et cetera. And I'm summarizing, so apologies. I go deeper on this on another subject or on another time here on VCTV, but just for today, it's somewhat protected, but a transaction is still there, which leads into the enterprise and why a lot of enterprise blockchains are more permissioned more private, to hold back that. So you can't necessarily see that company A and company B are transacting, which is also a huge opportunity to those that are listening. Enterprise blockchain applications are an open world. But again, back to your point, Gary, sorry for the sidetrack.
No, go ahead.
Cybersecurity.
Yeah, no, I just, so now with quantum coming in, it's a whole new level of, understanding and quantum networks, quantum computing. I mean, and they're going to be able to go after systems very, very quickly. And, I'm sure that nations have quantum computers in existence. And I mean, it's, I can envision a time where, countries will have a quantum computer. It's like, the ultimate protector, right? Or offender. And so we've got to be careful. I suggest we look at how we can work together and, for the good of humanity, and not how to be able to pull ourselves apart. So what can we do? We got a lot of things to face. It's funny. We talk about, funny things from a space perspective, asteroids impacting Earth. Well, there's a reason the dinosaurs died, right? Why don't we figure out how we can work together to kind of thwart those kind of catastrophic events using technology that we have, instead of thinking about how to destroy one another. Let's figure out how to use it for the good. How can we take something to make humanity a better place? How can we help treat each other a better way, increase the standard of living? And it's happened, just in the last year with this digital transformation. As I said, opportunities have gone in a lot of directions. People that normally would not have them. And I'm not saying college for everybody. There are some places in Africa where they're just using mobile phones, right? I mean, that's their computer. But the situation is, at least we've taken a quantum leap forward, right? Over the last year, we've distributed those opportunities out around the world, and now we can mine them and help them become global companies. So I'm very, very excited about that. So we look, I'm a positive kind of guy. I look at the positive aspects of society in general. And this is a great thing because we can put our own, as Steve Jobs said, dent in the universe. Let's take those opportunities. I've talked to incredible entrepreneurs from Africa, AI entrepreneurs from Africa, from Australia, from all over the world. I used to think they were really in a couple places, in Israel, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, but I was wrong, because there's incredible talent distributed out there. And because of you and VCTV, we've been able to find those opportunities, incredible opportunities, because they now have a voice, somebody they can listen to and somebody they can talk to coming in. So that's really, really powerful, because it's a platform that connects the world together.
Absolutely. And there, Gary, we could talk for hours, as we both know, on so many of these topics. And I'm excited to see where and how quantum continues to progress. AI, we know, plays so many roles in so many different industries. It will also impact, dApps and decentralized applications here in the future. We have so much more to talk about, but I want to pause here today for VCTV. Any closing thoughts you want to share with our audience today on the future of where we're going to go here in 2021? Any advice if they're looking to invest or build as well? Because we've got a wild ride in the 12 months ahead of us, coming out of the year we just had in 2020. And really a lot of that's been around the progression. You mentioned the speed and rapidness of these integrations and in this digitization and that we're experiencing. So anything you want to leave the audience with?
I mean, the situation is, the one thing, I did a TED talk a few years ago about passion, optimism, and visualization. You got to visualize where you want to go. The situation is, the people who succeed are people that believe in their dreams. I was with Andrew Straczynski, who's a right-hand man of Rupert Murdoch and the brother of founder of Google, Carl Page, in a meeting. And one thing they said, I'll never forget it. He said, I analyzed 3,000 top entrepreneurs. And I said, what's one characteristic that entrepreneurs have that around the world, the best ones? And he said, amnesia. I said, what do you mean? He said, they don't focus on the past. They only look at the present and the future. And so that's about life, because the past drags you back. Don't think about all the bad things that happen. Think about how you can make a dent in the universe. So that AI is the new electricity, unsupervised, semi-supervised, machine learning, deep learning. Focus in those areas, because those areas will help you, with your future, help you make your dent in the universe, and help put money in your pocket. So I think there's an incredible opportunity. You can reach me, GSD, Get Shit Done Venture Studios. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler, Twitter, Gary Fowler. I write a lot of articles. You can just text Gary Fowler, GSD, or AI. You can at La Token, you can find me on the website there. Feel free to contact me. This is a great time. It's a great time to get shit done. And Kyle, you're an amazing guy. You are the ringmaster and the leader, and I'm humbled to be here in your presence.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much. I couldn't do it without you. Couldn't do it without the team and Maria and everyone else that supports us as well, and all of the VCTV family who comes and shares their time with us each and every day. So thank you as well, and very excited, even more excited to continue today's discussion here over the next few weeks as we dive deeper into each and every one of these topics. And as we close out, DeFi total lock value is just over, again, $22.8 billion. Here, we started the year just a few billion shy of that, to show you how fast we've grown in just a week entering this year. We're also going to be closing today's episode just shy of $40,000 with Bitcoin, which has seen a huge rise today. Super exciting. We'll be talking more about that and the underlying technologies and impacts it has on other industries around the world here in the coming coming week as well. And again, thank you, Gary, so much. And to your audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up, check out the archive as well to hear not just more from Gary and myself, but also all of our speakers that we bring together from around the world to share their thoughts and insights and on-the-ground perspective around different technologies, industries, and regions around the world to help educate you as investors to know where to start placing your bets, and as entrepreneurs, where to start building and help encourage you in your journeys as you develop your company, product, and service. And what better way to share that with us here as individuals and investors on VCTV and with the community than joining us on the virtual stage. Reach out to the team and or myself, and we'll love to find the right spot for you as well. And a big thank you to the La Token team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere online at Kyle Ellicott and on all social media, just like Gary as well. And do reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And please do remember to add context as well so we know where you met, what you want to continue the conversation about as well. With that, I'm your host. Thank you very much, and we'll be back.